My dad left me a voicemail. Christmas was canceled, and I should expect a call from his lawyer. I didn't bother to argue. I just replied with a simple text. Understood. After that, I quietly removed my name from the $320,000 mortgage. 48 hours passed, and I had 67 missed calls. Their lawyer was frantic, pleading for an explanation. My phone buzzed aggressively on the kitchen counter. It was Dad again, repeating the same cold, clipped message. Christmas was off, and I should expect a call from his lawyer. It was that tone he used when he wanted to make you feel small and insignificant. I didn't call back or try to reason with him. Instead, I just sent the same short reply. Understood. As a calm, detached feeling settled over me, I opened my laptop. Half an hour later, my name was no longer on the $320,000 mortgage. Their beloved house, no longer my problem. 2 days later, my phone blew up. 67 missed calls from Dad, Mom, Sophia, and even their lawyer, who sounded shaken in a voicemail. I figured he was the one who advised them on how to pressure me. Now he was practically pleading, saying, Luke, we need to talk. There's been a misunderstanding. Please, just call your parents. They're really upset. I couldn't help but feel a twinge of amusement. Upset? That's putting it lightly. I scrolled through the endless notifications, messages, and voicemails. Even Sophia was desperately texting. Luke, what did you do? Dad's losing it. You can't just cut off family like that. The irony wasn't lost on me. They'd been cutting me off for years. It all started with a dinner I should have just skipped. About 3 weeks ago, Mom broke the news at the dinner table. Luke, I told you, we can't afford to take you on the trip this year, she said, barely looking up from her phone. It's a small cabin, and there's just no room. I glanced at her, stirring her overpriced herbal tea while mindlessly scrolling. A cabin? I asked, confused. I thought you guys were tight on money. Dad snorted. Don't start, Luke. I didn't ask for financial advice. If you're that worried, maybe chip in a little more this month. He shot me a look, as if daring me to argue. I already paid their mortgage, utilities, and Sophia's car payments. Meanwhile, Sophia was lounging on the couch, completely uninterested. She rolled her eyes. Oh my God, stop acting like you're some kind of hero. I help out too, but it's like nothing's ever good enough for you. A knot formed in my chest. Sophia, I covered your credit card debt just last month because you begged me to, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. She scoffed. I didn't beg, I just asked. You're my brother. Family helps family. Dad smirked at that. Listen to your sister. Stop being dramatic. I took a breath, trying to stay calm, but the words spilled out anyway. Dramatic? You're planning a vacation without even telling me, and I'm the one being dramatic? Seriously, Mom muttered. It's just a trip, Luke. No need to blow it out of proportion. That pitying tone of hers only made it worse. I let out a bitter laugh. Got it. Have a great time. As I walked away, Dad's voice trailed after me. Don't be like that, Luke. Maybe if you didn't waste money on that tiny apartment, you could actually support this family. I stopped, my hands clenched tight, and whispered, Okay, got it. A week later, I was mindlessly scrolling through Facebook when a photo popped up. Mom, Dad, Sophia, and her boyfriend, Ethan, all grinning in front of a luxury cabin. The caption read, Family trip in Aspen, our family together at last. No mention of me. No invite. Then my phone buzzed, another message from Dad. Hey, can you send another $200? We're running low on cash out here. Internet's spotty, so Venmo works best. I stared at the text, then the photo again, their happy faces huddled together. My fingers moved before I even thought it through. Sorry, can't help. Enjoy your family trip. 5 minutes later, Sophia's message chimed in. Wow, Luke, seriously? What's your problem? My problem? I was just a walking wallet to them. A backup plan they'd forgotten about unless something broke or they needed cash. They didn't expect me to finally push back. For a whole week, I didn't hear a word from them. It was pure, quiet bliss. Then, one chilly Tuesday evening, while I was making dinner, I got tagged in a Facebook post. Sophia had changed her profile picture, her and Mom, all smiles, with Dad in the background. The caption read, Family is everything, even when they hurt you. The comments were flooded with sympathy. Stay strong, sweetheart. Family always finds its way back. Right there, I saw Dad's comment. Some people forget who took them in, who raised them. But God sees everything. I felt a surge of anger, but didn't throw my phone. Instead, I opened my messages and looked at Sophia's last text. Wow, Luke, seriously? What's your problem? I didn't respond. Instead, I scrolled up, past her begging for money, for rides, for me to clear out her Amazon wishlist. Then I found it, the screenshots. 3 months ago, Sophia was pleading, Luke, please. I'm stuck. If I don't make this payment, they'll cancel my card. I'll pay you back. I swear. You know I'm good for it. I love you. You're the only one who always helps me. Lies. I saved it all, texts, bank transfers, proof of paying their mortgage, the SUV I helped Dad buy, and the audio clip from Thanksgiving. If you don't want to help this family, then don't ever come back. But don't come crying when you need something. I played it twice. The sting hadn't faded. The next morning, I took a step I never thought I'd take. I called the mortgage company. Yes, I need to remove myself as a cosigner. No, I'm not concerned about their situation. Please, process it immediately. The woman on the other end hesitated, but I insisted. Sir, this will trigger a reassessment of their mortgage. Are you absolutely sure? The woman on the other end asked, her voice laced with concern. I couldn't help but smile. Yes, I'm sure, I replied, without a shred of hesitation. 2 days later, the calls started pouring in. Luke, what did you do? Dad's voice wavered between fury and desperation. The bank just called. They said we have to requalify for the mortgage. We can't afford this. I took a slow sip of my coffee, savoring the moment. Not my problem, I said plainly. Not your problem? His voice shot up an octave. Have you lost your mind? We raised you. We took care of you. You raised me. I let out a laugh, one that came from a place far deeper than just amusement. I think I was just there when you needed something. There's a difference. How could you do this to your own family? Mom's voice broke in, shrill and unsteady. Family. I chuckled, the word tasting bitter in my mouth. You mean the family that took a luxury vacation without me? Or the one that laughed when I said I couldn't afford to go? That family. Silence. All I could hear was their breathing, heavy, uneven, nervous. Luke, Dad growled, his tone dropping low and dangerous. Just fix this. Be a man for once in your life. I raised an eyebrow, more amused than offended. You mean like you're a man? Begging me for money while calling me worthless behind my back. That's enough, he roared, his temper finally snapping. You think you're so damn smart, huh? Fine. Christmas is OFF. And you'd better expect a call from my lawyer. I almost laughed. Understood, I said, my voice cool and even. The next morning, my phone lit up with a text from Sophia. Luke, please. Can we talk? I'm sorry. We need you. I didn't respond. 5 hours later, another message came through. Luke, I'm serious. They're losing it. Mom's crying. Dad's freaking out. I didn't mean what I said. Still nothing from me. By the evening, my phone was practically vibrating off the counter, 23 missed calls, then 30, then 40. I stopped counting. Then a voicemail from a number I didn't recognize. Luke, this is Mr. Roberts. I'm your parents' attorney. I think there may have been some misunderstandings. I'd like to help resolve this amicably. Please call me. I didn't call him back. I went to bed that night feeling lighter than I had in years. The next day, I decided to get out for a while, clear my head. I wandered over to my favorite little cafe, the kind of place no one ever bothered me. I was halfway through my coffee when I saw it, Mom's new Facebook status. Sometimes even the ones you love turn on you. We gave him everything. But some people only know how to hurt. I scrolled down to the comments, dozens of them. People I hadn't spoken to in years were calling me a monster, a snake, a selfish brat. And then there was Sophia's comment. We did everything for him. He just threw it all away. I felt my blood run cold. Everything for me? Like the time they canceled my birthday dinner because Sophia was too tired? Or when Dad borrowed $5,000 for emergency home repairs and blew it in Vegas? Or all those years I paid their bills while they posted smiling family photos without me? I finished my coffee, pulled out my phone, and for the first time, I posted. Sometimes, family is just another word for people who use you. But I'm done being used. The first comment came almost immediately. It was Sophia. Wow, you're really doing this publicly? Pathetic. Then Mom chimed in. I don't even know who you are anymore. I didn't bother to respond. Instead, I attached the folder of screenshots I'd been keeping: bank transfers, text messages, proof of payments, broken promises, and fake smiles. And then I hit post. Within 3 minutes, the tone shifted. Wait, is this real? Look, they told everyone you left them with nothing. Holy, This is insane. An hour later, Mom's profile went dark. Sophia's too. But my phone didn't stop buzzing. 42 missed calls. Then 60. Then 67. Voicemails poured in, begging, screaming, crying. The last one was from Dad, his voice a whisper. Look, you can't do this. Please. Please, just talk to me. I saved it. Then I stepped away, letting them drown in the truth for once. They thought it was over. That their frantic voicemails, the lawyer's empty threats, and Mom's dramatic Facebook post would make me cave. That I'd come crawling back, the way I always had. But they didn't know me anymore. Not this version of me. I set the date for the meeting. We agreed to meet at a small diner on the edge of town, neutral ground. I picked a booth in the back, where I had a clear view of the door. I didn't tell them I'd be bringing someone. At exactly 6 p.m., they walked in, Dad, Mom, and Sophia. No Zach this time. Just the three of them, looking around nervously. Dad's jaw was clenched. Mom gripped her purse like it held her last bit of sanity, and Sophia wore sunglasses indoors, like she could hide from all of this. They slid into the booth, but I didn't say a word. I just watched them fumble for what to say. Look, we don't want this to get any worse, Dad finally said, his voice taut. We're a family. We can fix this. Can we? I asked, leaning back in my seat. Because last I checked, you told me Christmas was off and I'd be hearing from your lawyer. Mom's hand reached across the table, trembling slightly. Luke, please. We were upset. We said things we didn't mean. You lied about me, I cut in, my voice sharper than I intended. Publicly. You made me look like a monster while you bled me dry. Sophia scoffed from behind her sunglasses. That's not fair, she muttered. You did this. You made it public. I leaned in, locking eyes with her. Did I make it public when Dad posted that I was just a useless kid throwing a tantrum? Or when you laughed in the comments? Or when you all went on that vacation without me and made sure I saw every damn photo? Dad's face turned red, his fists tightening on the edge of the table. Enough of this guilt trip. We came here to fix this. But if you want to keep acting so selfish. You're right, I said, my voice turning cold and steady. Enough. I'm done pretending. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, tapped the screen, and hit play. Her voice filled the diner, crackling through the tiny speaker on my phone, the recording I'd saved for this very moment. Dad's voice, sharp and dripping with disdain. If you don't want to help this family, then don't ever come back. But don't come crying when you need something. I watched their faces twist and pale. Then I hit play on another recording, Sophia's text notifications, one after the other. Luke, please. I'm so screwed. If I don't make this payment, they'll cancel my card. I love you, Luke. You're the only one who always helps me. Mom's face went ghostly white. Sophia's jaw clenched, her hands balled up tight on the table. I leaned back, letting the silence hang heavy for a moment. You lied about me, I said, my voice steady and unflinching. You used me. And now you're here because you're scared. Not because you love me. Not because you care. Because you need me. We didn't, Mom started, but I cut her off with a raised hand. I'm not done. I reached into my bag and pulled out a thick, neatly bound folder. I slid it across the table, watching it land right in front of Dad. Mortgage documents, I said plainly. Proof of every payment I made. Every single one under my name. The house isn't yours. It never was. Dad's hand shook as he opened the folder, flipping through the pages, his eyes scanning the evidence that had been right under his nose all this time. This has to be some kind of mistake, he stammered. Not a mistake, I replied, my voice ice cold. I removed my name. The bank's requalifying your mortgage. If you can't afford it, the house is gone. Mom's voice came out as a shriek, raw and cracked. Look, how could you do this? We raised you. I met her eyes, unblinking. No, I said firmly. You raised me to be your doormat, your personal ATM. But that's over. Sophia tore off her sunglasses, her eyes red and swollen. Tears spilled freely down her cheeks. You're being cruel, she choked out. You're doing this to your own family. Family? I asked, tilting my head. You mean the family that plastered Facebook with posts about me like I was some kind of monster? The family that lied to everyone? The family that only calls when they need money? Stop it. Stop it. Dad slammed his fist down on the table so hard the silverware jumped. His eyes were wild, his face flushed with rage. I swear, look, if you don't fix this. I leaned forward, smirking. Or what? I asked, my voice low and steady. You'll sue me? Go ahead. Your lawyer already tried. You want to talk about legal trouble? Let's talk about the $5,000 you borrowed for house repairs that you spent in Vegas. Dad's mouth opened and closed, his cheeks flushing crimson. That was different, he stammered. Or how about the $3,000 Sophia took for her medical emergency that was actually a shopping spree? Or the time I covered the SUV payment you bragged about buying for yourself? Sophia's face crumpled, her eyes wide with disbelief. You weren't supposed to know, she whispered. I gave a short laugh, shaking my head. There's a lot I wasn't supposed to know, I said. Like how you told people I refused to help. Or how you told Zach I was unstable, tried to turn him against me. Luke, please, Mom whispered, her voice cracking. We can fix this. We're a family. I stared at her for a long moment, then shook my head slowly. No, Mom, I said softly. We're not. I nodded toward the entrance, and that's when they saw him. My grandfather, Dad's father, stepping into the diner. He stood tall, silver-haired, eyes sharp as ever, his cane tapping against the tiled floor with every step. His gaze swept the room before it landed on us, and without a word, he walked over and stopped right at our booth. Well, Charles said, his voice calm but dripping with knowing. Took you all long enough to destroy yourselves. Dad's face went sheet white. His hand shook as he tried to force a smile. Dad, I didn't know you were coming, he stammered. Charles raised an eyebrow, completely unamused. You never do, he said flatly. That's always been your problem? Then he turned to me, his expression softening. Luke told me everything, he said, his voice stern but steady. The money, the lies, the manipulation. He looked back at my father, eyes narrowed. You always did think you were the smartest man in the room, didn't you? Dad's mouth opened, but no words came out. He just stared, slack-jawed and stunned. Funny thing, son, Charles continued, his tone growing colder. I rewrote the family trust last week. Luke's the sole beneficiary now. You? Sophia? Your mother? You're out. Sophia gasped, the sound sharp and sudden. Grandpa, please, she whimpered, voice cracking. Charles shook his head, his gaze hardening. No, he snapped, his voice booming. I spent years watching your father lie and scheme. I hoped he'd grow out of it. But now I see he just passed it right on to you. He turned to me, his eyes softening again. I should have stepped in sooner, Luke, he said quietly. But I'm here now. I swallowed hard, feeling a lump rise in my throat. Thanks, Grandpa, I managed to say, my voice cracking just a little. As we stood to leave, Dad's voice broke, desperate and raw. Look, you can't do this. We're family. I looked back over my shoulder, meeting his eyes without a flicker of doubt. You made sure I wasn't part of this family a long time ago, I said, my voice firm. And with that, I walked out. But I wasn't done. I had thought that maybe, just maybe, they'd go quiet. That they'd finally back down and leave me alone. But I underestimated them. The next morning, I woke to my phone buzzing nonstop. Calls, texts, notifications, Dad, Mom, Sophia, all of them trying to claw their way back in. I ignored every single one. Then the doorbell rang. I checked the peephole. It was Grandpa. I opened the door, and he walked right in, not a word of greeting, just straight to my kitchen table. He sat down, motioning for me to join him. They're in shambles, he said, almost chuckling. Your father called me 3 times this morning. Said you're trying to ruin the family. I scoffed, shaking my head. Funny how they see it that way. Charles leaned back, studying me with those sharp eyes of his. I never thought I'd say this, he began, voice dropping low, but I'm proud of you. You stood up to them. That stopped me cold. I wasn't expecting it, not from him. I didn't do it for revenge, I said quietly. I couldn't let them keep using me. Not anymore. He nodded, took a sip of the coffee I'd set in front of him, and leaned back. Your dad always thought he was untouchable, Charles murmured. Never thought his own son would be the one to cut him down. Just then, my phone buzzed again, a voicemail. I pressed play, and Dad's voice poured out, hoarse and shaking. Luke. Son. This has gone too far. We're your family. You don't just walk away. Your mother's been crying nonstop. Sophia won't come out of her room. You've humiliated us. The diner was loud with voices, the recording I'd saved playing in the background. Dad's voice cut through, thick with contempt. If you don't want to help this family, then don't ever come back. But don't come crying when you need something. Then, another recording played. This time it was Sophia's text notifications. Luke, please. I'm so screwed. If I don't make this payment, they'll cancel my card. I love you, Luke. You're the only one who always helps me. Mom's face went white, and Sophia clenched her jaw, tight. You lied about me. Used me. And now you're here because you're scared, I said, my voice cold, like steel. Not because you love me. Not because you care. But because you need me. We didn't, Mom started, but I cut her off. I'm not done. I reached into my bag and pulled out a thick, neatly bound folder. I slid it across the table, letting it stop in front of them. Mortgage documents. Proof of every single payment I made, all under my name. The house isn't yours. It was never yours. Dad grabbed the folder, flipping through it in a panic, his hands shaking. This is a mistake. I shook my head. Not a mistake. I removed my name. They're requalifying your mortgage. If you can't afford it, the house is gone. Luke. Mom's voice cracked as she shrieked. How could you do this? We raised you. No. I shot back. You raised me to be a doormat. To be your personal ATM. I leaned in, making sure they heard me loud and clear. But that's over. Sophia tore off her sunglasses, tears already running down her cheeks. You're being cruel. You're doing this to your own family. Family? I almost laughed. You mean the family that spread lies about me like I was garbage? The family that turned on me and only calls when they need something? Stop it. Just stop. Dad slammed his fist down on the table, eyes wild. I swear, look, if you don't fix this. Or what? I raised an eyebrow and smirked. You'll sue me? Go ahead. Your lawyer already tried. You want to talk about legal trouble? Let's talk about the $5,000 you borrowed for house repairs that you blew in Vegas. That was, Dad sputtered. Or how about the $3,000 Sophia took for her so-called medical emergency, which turned out to be a shopping spree? Or the time I covered the SUV payment you bragged about buying for yourself? Sophia's face twisted in horror. You weren't supposed to know. Well, I wasn't supposed to know a lot of things. Like how you told everyone I refused to help you. Or how you told Ethan I was unstable and tried to turn him against me. Luke. Please, Mom whispered, her voice broken. We can fix this. We're a family. I just smiled. No, Mom. We're not. I nodded toward the door. That's when they saw him, Grandpa, Dad's father, stepping in. Tall, silver-haired, with sharp eyes scanning the room before locking onto us. He walked over slowly, his cane tapping softly against the tiles, then stopped at our booth. Well, Grandpa's voice was calm, almost amused. Took you all long enough to destroy yourselves. Dad's face turned ghostly pale. Dad? I didn't know you were coming. You never do. That's your problem, Charles replied coolly. He turned to me. Luke told me everything. The money. The lies. The manipulation. You always thought you were the smartest one in the room, didn't you? Grandpa's words were sharp, like ice. Dad opened his mouth to protest, but no words came out. Funny thing, son, Charles went on, I rewrote the family trust last week. Luke's the sole beneficiary now. You? Sophia? Your mother? You're all out. Sophia gasped. Grandpa, please. No, he interrupted, voice thunderous. I've spent years watching your father lie and scheme. I hoped he'd grow out of it. But now I see he passed it on to you. He turned to me, his expression softening. I should have stepped in sooner. Look. But I'm here now. I nodded, the lump in my throat making it hard to speak. Thanks, Grandpa. As we stood to leave, Dad's voice cracked, desperate and raw. Luke, you can't do this. We're family. I looked over my shoulder. You made sure I wasn't part of this family a long time ago. Then, I walked out. But I wasn't done yet. I thought they'd go quiet, that they'd finally back off. I was wrong. The next morning, I woke up to my phone buzzing nonstop. It wasn't just calls, there were texts too. Dad, Mom, Sophia, all of them, trying to get through. I ignored every single one. Then, the doorbell rang. I checked the peephole, it was Grandpa. I opened the door, and without a word, he walked in, sat down at my kitchen table, and motioned for me to do the same. They're in shambles, he said, almost amused. Your father called me 3 times this morning, said you're trying to ruin the family. I scoffed. Funny how they see it that way. Charles looked at me, his gaze sharper than usual. I never thought I'd say this, but I'm proud of you. You stood up to them. His words threw me off guard. I'd been expecting another guilt trip, another speech about family loyalty. I didn't do it for revenge, I said, my voice steady. I just couldn't let them keep using me. Not anymore. He nodded, took a sip of the coffee I'd poured him, and leaned back. Your dad thinks he's untouchable. Always has. Never thought his own son would be the one to cut him down. Just then, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a voicemail. I hit play. Luke. Son. This has gone too far. We're your family. You don't just walk away. Your mother's been crying nonstop. Sophia won't come out of her room. You've humiliated us.